I literally just had to be brave.
For Hazel Jamieson, a simple furniture restoration hobby has now taken on a life of its own.
There's a lot of people, I think, starting to do what I do. I like to think that my product is a premium as opposed to what is out there. You have to work with the furniture, and if it's all of a sudden going to show you, actually I'm quite beautiful under here, I don't want to cover that up. I sometimes won't know what I'm going to do to a piece until I start to sand it and see what's under years and years of wax or stain or polyurethane or old paint, something that's been painted previously.
Upcycling gives old items a second chance at life rather than being condemned to the landfill.
The Altered Rose is a furniture alteration and restoration business. So we take on custom work where you can bring in a piece of furniture and I'll work with the client and come up with a design. Sometimes someone comes and they know exactly what they want. Other times they want ideas and suggestions.
Sometimes Hazel finds gold hiding beneath the decades-old layers of paint.
I did an old trunk for a client a while back, and it tells you a story as you unravel it, and at some point that trunk had been green and blue and pink and yellow. By the time I'd finished it, it was just beautiful Remu, and it was all natural and it was stunning. So it was back to what had originally been built. So it had been through 5 life cycles, but it's still going because it's solid wood quality furniture.
The idea to turn her hobby of bringing treasures back to life into a business came after Hazel lost the most precious thing in her life.
My mum was my best friend. She was my partner in life. We were extremely close. She taught me so much about being self-aware, doing what you can yourself, and always learning. I was recovering from my mum dying, and I was starting to wonder, what am I going to do? How am I going to live my life? And that was back in 2019. I needed to start doing something that was productive, but I wasn't ready to go back into working a 70-hour week running a hotel. And so in the garage in Papamoa I started, and then 2.5 years later, we started building a shed. What made me sort of start to turn it in from a hobby into a business was when people started buying furniture. Even then, compared to what I'm doing now, it was very simple, what you call a furniture flip. It was very basic. But all of a sudden, once I sort of tested the waters and I worked out, hey, this is actually viable. If I don't try, I'm never going to know.
Thanks to some hard work and the power of social media, this business is blooming.
All my business so far has come via Facebook, and I started promoting the business there on local pages, asking friends to share my page, and people will just message me and be like, oh, I've got this old something, is it something that you would do? My answer is always yes, because I don't say no to business. Yeah. And then it's very much a back and forth discussion is, do they want a traditional restoration? Do they want something different? Do they want something loud? Do they want something neutral? Do they want some artistic flair to it in the way of decals or decoupage, which is applying paper to furniture? This is going to elongate the chest because it's nice and long, so it's going to draw the eye further along.
Yes. There are 2 solid Remu chests that I bought, one each for my boys for toy chests when they were little, and they've had them for years and years and years, and then from there they got put into storage and used for toys just to store in the garage, etc. But I just don't want to get rid of them, and they've just got such a fond memory for me for when the boys were little, and I would like to eventually have something nice that's a bit of a legacy to pass down to them, maybe for their children to use or for another purpose. So I'm pretty excited about them being redone. We've gone into such a disposable world that we don't treasure the things that are really well made. In the long run, I probably will never have to replace them.
The time frame for turning something old into something new is largely down to Mother Nature.
Depending on the weather is how long it can take. I use a professional spray gun, which gives a great factory finish. I can't spray when it rains. So anything can take from a few days to a few weeks, and it also depends on the process, what the current state of the furniture is in, are there repairs, does it need borer treatment, but it's always a full finish in the respect that pieces are prepped and repaired, and then they're primed, and then they're painted, and then they're sealed.
As the Altered Rose grows, Hazel has a few ideas up her sleeve to take this premium restoration service to a whole new level.
I have my first collab coming up. It was an artist that I followed on Facebook, and I just really loved her stuff. And I just reached out to her and I said, this is what I do. Check out my page. Let me know if you'd be interested in doing something together. And she came back and said, absolutely. And that will be hopefully the first of many. Absolutely.
Gavin Ogden, Local Focus.